Okay, you can bring the screen down. There we go.
Jin da da shan ting wei si fa hui qi yi jie zhong shen jin chuan miao fa lun jiao dao wo men ru he liao shen to zi li ku da la su shen wu shen. Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma will to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadando suchedoye alahadi sammya samputoshe.
Namo saranto suchatoya alahadi samya samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄大家，阿弥陀佛。I want to mention on the men's side here, we got a bunch of empty seats. Chris, you can come right down in front there, grab that chair. Okay, we got one there. Okay, any more guys? Bring them down front, please. Fill in the seats. Good. So happy to see all of you here. This is going to be my last in-person lecture for a while. I'll be back to Australia on Tuesday night. And it's so nice to see everybody here and kind of get the instant feedback from real human beings. But we will be moving this in-person assembly to the Gold Coast. You all are welcome to join in online. It's not the same, but it's, what do they say? Chabador, right? It's almost there. And we're working, our lectures are always evolving, so we're looking for a way to allow feedback from the Zoom or from the YouTube. And you can see we've got these incredibly dedicated volunteers who put it out through Zoom to the world, out through YouTube to the world, archiving it, live streaming it, broadcasting it in 3 languages. So the reason we do this is because we love to hear the Buddha's words. We love to dig into this incredible text that was spoken 2,500 years ago, but has incredible relevance for us today. It really does speak. The sutra comes alive the way our teacher, Master Hsuan Hua, presented it to us, and we're trying to carry it into the next generation, carry it on. Those of you who are sitting in the back and can't see, we got an empty seat in the front. Anybody who's brave and bold, That might be Graciela, but I don't know. Somebody, maybe not. Maybe somebody else wants to sit down. Who would that be? Maybe Liz? I don't know. Somebody who's courageous? Sit down in front here. We want to fill in the empty seats is the point. So, because we're getting backed up. There's also the balcony. If anybody is into balcony, it's a beautiful way to hear the lecture up above. Yeah, traffic control. There you go. So this is my part in it is just to feel grateful, feel gratitude for all of the hands and hearts who say this Avatamsaka Sutra is an amazing text. I look into the mirror of the Buddha's wisdom and I see my face and I see how it makes sense and it gives me meaning and importance to my life. It's kind of a compass bearing that doesn't play you false. It is the whatever that is. I mean, it's not deterministic, but it gives, no matter what direction we go, the Buddha's wisdom kind of grounds us and says, this is a good direction because. And here's how the meaning evolves from wherever your footsteps travel. It's supportive of independent initiative, and that's magnificent, right? So it's not only one way and my way or the highway, none of that. It's like, which way are you going? Here's how to connect it through what they call the Puman, the universal door, which is the mind, the awakened mind. So, okay, enough blathering here. Let's get started. Here we go. Michael, down front. With a smile. Namo One more time. You do sing it differently than I do, and I'm learning the way you do it. Did you all notice? There's two notes that you do differently, and there's like 50 of you. So for me to do it my way, you go, no. So I'm learning. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo. I go, Da Fang Guang Fo. You go, Da Fang Guang Fo. So, I will learn. It's good. The Chochechno Ohlone people practice spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说我们恭敬地承认，就这些欧罗尼的人，他们是我们寺院所在地的传统师事和守护人、讲故事的人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。When I said this, I gave the Pomo people up at City of 10,000 Buddhas the last 10 days when I was up there, and reading this acknowledgement of country, CTDB not everybody has heard that before. Please help yourself. There's plenty of seats here. You're welcome. 请坐, 请坐. It was kind of a shock to people who are like, Pomo? Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, we did just kind of show up, didn't we? Oh, there were people here before us. Mm-hmm. And they had a culture, they had wisdom, and they're still here? Oh, I guess that makes me a guest, and it's helpful to get in line, you know. This is such a wonderful custom. And we'll see whether anybody at CTDB carries it on after. I doubt it, but little bit, step by step. In Australia, every public meeting begins with an acknowledgement of the humans who were there first, and the goodness that they brought into being. That's a good thing. It's elegant and it's wholesome, and it puts whatever you're doing. In our case, it's a Dharma assembly. It puts it on solid ground, and it also to acknowledge respectfully the people who were there first is wholesome. It's wholesome. And I think only goodness comes. So here we are in the flats of the Berkeley Hills. And this is my last public lecture here for a couple months. But it's so interesting to look at the history of this particular building. Many of you come from San Jose, some of you come from Marin, some of you come from Contra Costa, but you've all heard of Berkeley Farms? No? Yeah. Farms in Berkeley? Okay, so much is gone. If you rode a bus, an AC transit bus in the last 30 years, on the side of the bus there was an ad and it said Farms in Berkeley. Berkeley Farms Dairy. Now, many of us are vegans. We don't drink milk. Nobody rides the bus. Berkeley Farms Dairy is gone. We old farts, we just, what are we doing? Just yap, 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 right? When I got here in 1970, 71, there was one dairy in town, Berkeley Farms Dairy. And their ad campaign was, ha, 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 farms in Berkeley? Because you don't think farms in Berkeley, right? We don't. Yes, farms in Berkeley. This church was surrounded by farmland. We were the fourth oldest wooden building in Berkeley, surrounded by farms on all sides. This lonely church was sitting here out in the middle of farmland. So it's good to remember that and realize that all of this has come within the memory of one generation, 2 generations, okay? So 100 years. 1898, this place was built. So who came before us? Were there people here? Oh yeah, there sure were. And they lived a very good life, very peaceful life, because it was so fruitful, so abundant. There was so much here for humans to thrive on. And now, what do we have now? We have pavement, we have concrete, we have blacktop, a few trees, but they've been planted just recently. 200 years ago, where we are sitting, there were grizzly bears. The streams had salmon in the streams, just living their best lives, all the way down to the bay. Over here, this is men's side. This maybe help this gentleman find a seat over here. Okay, there you go. He knows. I know you know. All right. So there's a seat right down here next to Chris. Help yourself when you aim for that. There you go. So the white people came later, and we bring our culture and our civilization, and in the process wipe out the systems and and the environments that were here before. So one thing we can do is acknowledge and say, yeah, we know, we remember. And those folks had a full, complete, graceful, harmonious life, balanced between the sky and the ground and the bay and the shellfish and the crabs and the oysters and the birds and the grizzly bears and the salmon and these, massive living systems that were here that when we came, we wiped out. So what happens when you look at your history is you touch things. You touch the earth. You touch your ancestors. You touch life itself. And when you're in touch with all of that, you know what goes away? Loneliness, isolation, a sense of not belonging, a sense of being a stranger. You know where you belong. You find your place. And that's what this acknowledgement of country does. Now, for sure, we're studying a system that is as old as the native first peoples who lived here. But we came later, and I find it really helpful to, if I can exhale and feel like I too can belong here, I can live here gracefully when I know that there are standards. There are 规矩, there's 水准, there's standards for being a human that had not been forgotten. Our current civilization kind of feels like if you have an AR-15, you're in charge, because you pull the trigger a couple times and everybody runs and you're there, powerful, right? That is profoundly broken, and that is not our new normal. Even though somebody with a gun walking down the street can make everybody else run. That's a kind of power, but it doesn't thrive. It doesn't flourish. It doesn't foster well-being for anyone. So by saying, yes, we know the traditional Ohlone people had a standard that worked for them. They flourished in harmony. And we can learn a lot from that. It's not the case that science and AI is going to give us anything about well-being. Just how, you see people just walking like this, broken from everything around them. You don't even need people when you got one of these, right? All you need is your broadband connection. But how lonely, how sad. So just to say, I'm kind of riffing here, but this acknowledgement of country I find profoundly helpful and valuable. We'll see if anybody at CTDB kind of gets it, because the Pomo people, City of 10,000 Buddhas, used to be called Pomo Tierra, the land of the Pomo, where they lived. And for years, there are willow trees just off of Cottage Lane there. And are you okay? Can you sit? Everything's good? Just sit? Yeah. There are willow trees that the Pomos used to come in the morning, and their elders, Essie Parrish was the name. Graciela, did you know Essie Parrish? I think she had passed away before you got there. Essie Parrish was the medicine woman of the Pomo, and She passed it on to the next couple generations, and then they didn't make it, they died. So there's real concern that the knowledge of the Pomo might disappear. There are folks who are trying to keep it alive. But what the Pomo did was they made baskets. They're incredible baskets. Baskets that, when they got the willows, they wove the baskets so well that they would hold water, and then they could boil the water in the basket, hold it above the flames. So it was just the heat and not the flames. And the baskets held the water without a drop spilling. They made baskets out of feathers, feather baskets, because they were in harmony with the birds and collected the feathers that fell. So the willows that they made their baskets from are on Pomo Tierra, city of 10,000 Buddhas. So I remember one morning, just there were people over in the willows, and I went out and, hi, excuse me, and didn't talk. Excuse me, are you, hello, I'm there as a monk. It's like, not even paying attention, because they didn't know if I belonged there. And we were, quote, the owners of the land. Right? No. The Chochesha Ohlone people who practice their spiritual connections to the earth and all creation on their land for tens of thousands of years had come back to get some willow leaves to make baskets. And they finally, when they saw that I was another person, it's like, yeah, we're here to collect willows. We'll be gone. We won't bother you, So it was like, oh, okay. We're the Buddhists. We would love to talk. So we've since established some friendship and connections. But this acknowledgement of country is a wonderful tradition, and I hope it connects. I hope it continues. Okay, moving on here. The bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法养万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪我厚德。Maybe one day I'll learn to sing this one too. 众生传。Someday. Not now. Okay, there we go. Talk about ecosystems, right? Some with feathers. Oh boy. Okay, first of all, let's introduce our teacher of the moment. His name is Bhikshu Hai Yun, Ocean Cloud. That's Chinglish. That's English words on top of the Chinese. So clouds above the ocean, or Hai Yun, the clouds of the ocean, oceanic clouds, ocean-wide cloud, all the different ways that English could translate Hai Yun Bicho. He's a monk, as was Clouds of Virtues, Bhikshu. So Sudhana meets 3 monks in a row. This is number 2. Our pilgrim is here. Here he is, little guy. It's not little at all, but the artist depicted him this way to show that he's a student. He's learning. He's learning how to cultivate, how to practice the Buddha's teaching. And this particular teacher is a scholar. What is he studying? He's studying the ocean. He's studying the ocean. He said, I gazed at the ocean, and the things he learned about the Buddha came from gazing at the ocean. And we're going to find out as we go that as he was watching, this happened. A lotus emerged out of the water. See, here's the ocean. Here's the stem of the lotus. Here's the flower, the petal of the lotus. Here's the Buddha. A Buddha emerged in front of his eyes, coming out of the ocean, sitting on a lotus. And he describes what that's like and what he got from it as the teaching to Sudhana. And Sudhana listens, takes notes, absorbs the wisdom, and then the teacher says, but that's all I know. If you want to really know the answer to your question, go south. There's a teacher down there who will instruct you. Sudhana says, do I have to leave so soon? And he says, yes, you really want to learn, don't you? You got to go find out the answer to your question. So he sends him on. But we're just they've just met. And there is a poem that, here we go. That's Clouds of Virtue. Close that one. We're looking for, let's see here. We'll get it here. Let's see here. Bhikshu Cloud of Virtue. Sudhana. Let's see, is this it? There we go. Clouds of Virtue. That's not it? Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. We already looked at it once. I was going to show it at the beginning and then show it at the end, but it's so, the word is evocative, so evocative. Because why? People have been moved by this story over the centuries, and one of the people who really got into the whole narrative of Sudhana, the pilgrim, going out looking for wisdom, and all the real world situations that he ran into, he was so moved he wrote a verse for all 53 teachers. And it's called Bai Cheng Yan Shui, the smoke and the cloud of 100 cities. So the verses that he wrote to commemorate Sudhana's pilgrimage are they're super. They're really, really wonderful. And I like to keep them fresh in people's mind. We'll get there. We'll get there. So last week, they met. Here was the first, let's see here, Cloud of Virtue. He says, I've only learned a little bit. You go south. And yeah, I've only attained this Dharma method. So go south and find ocean of, here we go, right there. So he says, Sudhana goes looking for his new teacher, and he's pondering what he learned. He's reviewing. He's refreshing in his mind the things he learned from Cloud of Virtue. So we got to there as he was contemplating these gateways into the Dharma. So let's pick up right here. Start with the blue. 正念观察诸佛放松门. Okay, and then we'll read right down to there. Okay, can everybody see? Is that big enough in the back? Good? All right. Oops. One more time. Right there. Okay, I'll give you a line and you give it back. 正念观察诸佛方所门正念观察诸佛鬼之门正念观察诸佛等虚空界门正念观察诸佛出现次第门正念观察诸佛所入方便门. Okay, the key word in each one is this one right here, man. Remember we talked about that last week, how it's a swinging door, like that. It's a picture of that. It's a way in. It's a gateway. You have to go through it to get where you want to go. You're outside the door. You go through that door, and you're in the new space. It's a liminal, you know that word? The liminal space, meaning the transition. You go through, and there you are. Now, in terms of Buddhist practice, what it means is it's a method, a technique, a door into a new reality, a new sense of knowing who you are, a new awareness of what you're capable of, and it comes from a teacher. So the whole thing about Sudhana's pilgrimage is it's meeting teachers and relating to what they can teach him. So one way for us to connect to it is, what have you learned in your life from a teacher? Think about what it was. Was it martial arts? Did you meet a teacher who taught you how to defend, how to relax, how to stretch, how to hit and defend at the same time? Was it a neigong, an internal martial art? No hitting, no kicking, but strengthening. Maybe that was it. Maybe you met a teacher who taught you how to cook. Maybe it was a class on French cuisine, vegetarian cuisine. Maybe it was a class on growing sprouts, making yogurt. What was it? So maybe it was a teacher who taught you how to expand your mind. Maybe it was Doug Powers, somebody who taught you about the possibilities of the depth and breadth of the mind. So Sudhana meets these teachers one by one, and they don't accept him right away. They challenge him. You know, why should I pay attention to you? And they ask him a question, and they say, 善男子, 如一发大菩提心法. He's about to do that. We're almost there. He does it right there. That's the challenge that they ask him. Right now, Sudhana is still digesting what he's learned. He's just come from his previous teacher. Now he's learning. Just as a note, I think that's really helpful to think about who taught you what you know, who taught me what I know, and what have I done with it? Have I zheng nian guansha? Have I thought about the things I learned? Was it your mom? What did you learn from your mom? What did you learn from your dad? Have we made the most of those lessons? Or did it go in one, out the other? Maybe. So this doesn't have to be just a religious teacher, a spiritual teacher. It could be What did you learn from your time in the military? What did you learn from your time in jail? What did you learn from the 2 years in the associate program? Did you make the most of it? You know, so when I ask myself those questions, it's kind of uncomfortable because mostly the answer is not much. I was so greedy to get enlightened that I ran right past the instructions I got in most cases, looking for the real thing. You know, where is it? Is it here? Meanwhile, you know, my teacher's like, I can't believe it. You know, he's just, I told him and he couldn't hear it. He's going looking for enlightenment. You're seeking, you know. 道无求处便无有. When you get to the place where you stop seeking, there are no more worries. Your worries are over. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh, thanks, Shifu. Okay, meanwhile, how do I get enlightened? Oh, pathetic. So this is Zheng Yin Guancha. How about us? Where was our last teacher? And what do we do with what we learned? Okay, starting with this one right here. Ready? Can we do it together? Let's make it a little bit bigger. Here we go. With proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's Bodhimandals. With proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's guiding rules. With proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's identity with the realm of space. With proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's successive appearances. With proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's use of skillful means. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of consistency here. This is the same in every line. With proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's, fill in the blank. So, how do I make sense of this? It means he thought it over. Proper mindfulness means he was open to it. He listened to it. You could translate that. He listened to and looked at. Contemplated is to look with your mind's eye. You're not doing this. You're doing this. Not focusing out, but focusing in, thinking, seeing it, holding that image. And he's looking at a gate. He's not looking at a gate. Where's a gate? There's a gate back there. Not looking at a door. That's not the way to see this. He is thinking about the instructions for practice that open into wisdom. That's a gate of Buddha's something. If it comes from the Buddhas, it's about wisdom. It's about understanding beyond the surface, deeper than the surface of things. Seeing, looking at a tree and understanding that you're only seeing half the tree. Where's the other half? Under the ground. Oh, that's so helpful. To see a tree and understand that the important part of the tree, half of the important part of the tree, is where the tree eats. You can't see it. It's under the ground. It's rooted. And those roots are most often not there. They're mostly out as far as the leaves go. What's called the drip line. Anybody who's ever taken care of trees? When you water, don't water the trunk. Go out to the farthest edge where the leaves, where the branches go, water around there, because that's where the extent of the rootlets go. The tree eats through its most fine roots, not the big woody ones with the bark, but out where the roots are. That's where the transactions happen between the elements, the water, the minerals, that's where the roots hold the soil so that when the wind blows, it doesn't fall over. So if you want to water the tree and give it a good water, go to the drip line, water it there. And the tree goes, thank you. You know, you've been watering my trunk. Well, I'm eating over there, but you're watering it here. It's got to go, you know. So that's wisdom, the wisdom that goes, oh, I'm only seeing half the tree. Why? You've seen a tree uprooted. Go down to Highway 9 to Redwood Vihara, and we have the San Lorenzo River cuts this big gully where it runs. Mostly the water is like down there, but during the rainy season, the water fills up here, and it washes away the bank, and you can see the exposed roots of the redwoods. Oh my goodness, there they are. They're really there under the ground. Wisdom looks at people and understands that, likewise, our invisible roots are in our parents, our siblings, our teachers, our schools, our friends, our enemies, our habits, our hopes, our imagination, our intelligence, our ignorance. Those are all the invisible roots of people. They're really there. They're really there. If you wanted to simplify it, they would say our parents are the roots of people. That's where we came from. And we learned so much about being alive before we could even talk from our parents. We looked, we heard, we felt. We're not learning only through our eyes or our ears. We're learning through our skin, through our feelings, through the way the vibes in the dining room exist while our parents eat, right? We're totally dependent on the adults in the room for years as kids. We're helpless as babies. We're learning about people from the people around us, clearly. So those are our invisible roots. And we stand on those the rest of our lives, like it or not, for better or for worse. And then, in turn, we become the adults, and our kids learn from us. So what are we teaching them? Things that are going to help them and help the world? I hope so, I'm sure. Right? That's why we want to hang out with Dharma friends, so that the things that we represent are worth teaching our kids. They become better people by their association with us, because they're going to pass it on too. That's the invisible parts of humans. The invisible part of the trees are the roots. The invisible part of humans are the humans we associated with before we even knew language. A big part of a child's learning is done by age 3. They're parts of the brain that either grow or they don't once language sets in. So that's the gate of Buddha's what? Bodhimandas. They're places the Buddhas teach. They're guiding rules, how to be a human, how to be a wise human, how to be a compassionate human. Look at this one, Buddha's identity with the realm of space. Now that is like Star Trek. Boldly go where no man has gone before. No, it's not. It's not Star Trek. It's what? It's the fact that Buddhas have a body called the Fa Shen, the Dharma body. What is it? It's all of this. It's this rose is incredible. Everybody pick up on, here's a rose that's both fuchsia and white. And these are daisies. Is that what these are? Cosmos. Okay. There they are. And I don't know what these are either. They're beautiful. Anyway. So this is the Dharma body. This is the Dharma body. This is the Dharma body. So in Chinese you'd say 参罗万象, everything. Christians call it the kingdom of God. Is it the same? It's the same in that when people want to say everything, that's the Dharma body. And what's it like? It's like space, because space holds it all. There's nothing here not embraced by empty space. Empty space is what's called a wu-wei-fa, a Dharma that is not made, it's not created. It doesn't come, it doesn't go. So that's the Buddha. With proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's successive appearances. I made a joke that was not really a joke last week by talking about Maitreya. And I said I was going to look him up in the meantime, and I forgot to do it. There was a British gentleman who said he was Maitreya Buddha. And we don't have to wait. He's here already. I'm here, no waiting, right? Buddha's arrived. And he was very sincere, and his posters would appear on phone poles in Berkeley. They would say, come to Sather Hall tonight at 7 o'clock and meet Maitreya. And he was this very proper gentleman with a British accent, and I'd forgotten his name. But he was convinced that he was indeed the Buddha to be, Maitreya. And why do we say no? Why would we bother to tell him that he's not, you know? Because he was convinced that he was, and he had his following, and he was very sincere, very kind of dull, you know. His teaching was kind of boring. But the Buddhist explanation is that not yet. Maitreya is still in the Tushita heaven, waiting for conditions to ripen, and then he'll appear. Anybody know? Anybody look him up? What was his? I should follow up on that. Because he came, I guess he did tours, you know, and he would come through Berkeley and then he'd go on to Ann Arbor or Madison or something. But he was sure
Google says Benjamin Cream.
What was it?
Benjamin Cream.
How do you spell? C-R?
C-R-E-M-E.
I think that's right. I think it was Benjamin, yeah. So, not that we want to encourage people to do Google, but in the lecture, but sometimes it's helpful. Benjamin, C-R?
A-I-O-U. C-R-E-M-E.
Okay. Benjamin, C-R... C-R-A-I? C-R-E-M-E. I think that's right. There he is. There he is. Oh, he passed away. 2016. Scottish artist, esoteric writer, editor of Share. There he is. Maitreya, Maitreya, the world teacher. That's right. He's the teacher that all religions point for and hope for. He said Maitreya returned in a physical form in the Himalayas, and he moved to London. I guess it's better than Detroit. Esotericist. There he is. He's a Scotsman. Yeah. Okay, not to, I don't want to sound snarky or to diminish the gentleman. But it was funny to walk around Berkeley and see the poster, Maitreya's here already. It's like, wow, that was fast. Gee whiz. So, successive appearances. Maitreya is said, from our point of view, Benjamin Cream, good. From our point of view, Maitreya will come when humanity is ready and the earth is in a Cheng phase, not the Huai phase that we're in. We're in the Dharma ending age, and things are breaking. And the Buddha appears when things are forming. So the earth, every earth goes through, every world goes through 4 phases: coming into being, abiding, flourishing, decay, and then void, and then coming into being. We're in the autumn, the stage 3 now. Okay, finally, with proper mindfulness, he contemplated the gate of Buddha's use of skillful means, which is ways of teaching. Teaching so that we can get it, so that we understand. Okay, that's what he was doing, and I said we're going to do some music, so let's do that now. Here is one of those expedients called the Mangala Sutta, the Sutra of the Highest Blessings. We were talking about it before lecture tonight, and what it amounts to, it's a conversation between a god, actually it's a female, it's a Devi, a goddess, who comes down to where the Buddha was in the Jada Grove and asks him a question and says, both gods and humans want to know how to live right. What are the highest blessings? What's the best way to be alive? What's the best way to be a human? And the Buddha answers. The Buddha really delivers. Tells 11 ways to do that. So this is a sutra. It was spoken, it's in the Pali canon mostly. But the Mahayana also, Jishan Jing, we got that, called the Mangala Sutta in Sanskrit, Pali. So, for Chinese speakers, you can read. I'll let you read the answers. And your part goes, these are the highest blessings. We do it twice. We go, these are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Try it. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Great. You'll see when to come in. I have heard at one time the Exalted One was staying at the town of Shravasti, residing at the Jada's Grove in Anathapindika's park. Then in the dark of the night, a radiant Deva illuminated all around. She bowed down low before the Blessed One. Then standing to one side, she said, so here's the Dharma request, okay, for the Chinese readers. Okay, she said, Devas are concerned for happiness. We ever long for peace. And the same is true for humankind. Please tell us, what are the highest blessings? So you get her question, right? This is pretty straightforward. What's the right way to live? The Buddha happily says, avoiding those of foolish ways, associating with the wise, honoring those worthy of honor. Here we go. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Living in places of suitable kinds with the fruits of past good deeds, guided by the rightful way. Here we go. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. It's good to ponder these. They go by pretty quickly, but these are priceless, right? Accomplished in learning and craftsman's skills, with discipline highly trained, speech that is true and good to hear. These are the highest blessings, said the Buddha. These are the highest blessings. Providing for mother and father's support, and cherishing family, ways of work that harm no beings, harmless livelihood. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Generosity and a righteous life, offering help to relatives and kin, acting in ways that leave no blame. These are highest blessings. These are highest blessings. It's very tempting to leave a political message here. I won't. Steadfast in restraint, shunning evil ways, avoiding intoxicants that dull the mind, and heedfulness in all things that arise. Here we go. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Respectfulness, humble ways, contentment and gratitude, hearing the Dharma frequently taught every Saturday night. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Patient, willing to accept one's faults, seeing venerated seekers of the truth, sharing often the words of Dharma. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. What if a venerated seeker of truth was in the mirror when you looked in it tomorrow? Could be you. Ardent, committed to the holy life, seeing for yourself the noble truths, the realization of nirvana. These are the highest blessings. Sounds good? These are the highest blessings. This is the last one. Although involved in worldly tasks, unshaken, the mind remains beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. They who live by following this path know victory wherever they go. Every place for them is safe. How about us? These are the highest blessings. These are the highest blessings. Those are the highest blessings. How to live right. according to the Buddha. Okay. Teacher number 2, here it is. Ready? 见似难行，智海蒙国，香海云比丘说，顶礼其祖，右绕臂椅，欲前合掌，坐如是言。Okay. Together, let's go. He gradually traveled south until he arrived at the kingdom Ocean Gate. Arriving at the abode of the bhikshu Ocean Cloud, he bowed at his feet. After circling him to the right, he reverently placed his palms together and said, tension, cliffhanger. What did he say? What did he say? So people say, oh, the Avatamsaka Sutra, it's just so full of philosophy. It's just all this esoteric stuff. I never understand it. Did you ever read it? I can't. This is narrative. It's a epic journey. There's no philosophy here. It's like this is a story of a pilgrim who wants to wake up. I don't have no patience with people who say, oh, don't lecture on it. It's just all philosophy. Too much Sanskrit. You never understand it. Open it, dude. Read it. You'll be amazed at what you find here. Okay. So, what follows is Sudhana is so excited to meet his teacher that he blurts out 10 questions all at once. He just really wants to know. He's just like, tell me, I want to know. And the teacher's smiling patiently. You bet, good for you. I'm happy to answer every single question that you ask. Okay, let's do the first one. Ready? Here we go. 圣者，圣者，我以显发。阿耨多罗三藐三菩提心，欲入一切无上智海，而为之。菩萨云何？能舍宿家。I'm sorry, I left out a word. 能舍宿世。I'm sorry. Let me one more time. 菩萨云何能舍宿俗家？能舍世俗家，圣如来家。Good. Here we go. Venerable sage, I have already expressed the resolve for Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi and wish to enter all of the oceans of unsurpassed wisdom, but I do not know how a bodhisattva can renounce the mundane worldly home and be born into the thus come one's household. Stop. Okay, that's the first one. So his first question is, how can I leave home? The sutra describes Sudhana as a young man, the leader of a group of 500 young men. He's 20 years old. He's not a teenager, even less is he a little baby, the way the artists depict him. So, in the Buddha's Sangha, to become a monastic, you have to be 20. To get the precepts of a monk or a nun, you have to be 20. So, as we learned, Sudhana meets Manjushri Bodhisattva. Sudhana is living his life. He's 20 years old. He's a young guy. He's checking his options. Should I get married? Should I follow my dad into business? Should I be how much learning can I handle before I set out to seek my fortune, right? He's got all these normal, healthy questions that every young man, well-raised, asks. And he meets Manjushri, and Manjushri speaks Dharma And Sudhana says, oh, I want to do that. I want to be a Buddha. Now that I know it's possible, now that I've heard you explain it, that's what I want. I really want that. So he interacts with Manjushri. Manjushri sends him off. His first question when he meets teacher number 2 is, can I be a member of the Buddha's family? Do I have to follow the life of a monastic, a mendicant monk, in order to do that? And that's his question. He doesn't know the answer yet. What do you suppose the monk, the bhikshu, is going to tell him? Sudhana, to the end of his pilgrimage, is still a layman. He doesn't leave home. He doesn't become a monk, interestingly. The final answer for him, after 52 other teachers, comes from another bodhisattva named Samantabhadra, Pushen Pusa, who's right there on the elephant, right there in the window. That's Samantabhadra. The first teacher is Manjushri, who's collecting the last light of today. You can see him. He's on a lion. So these two bodhisattvas in our Buddha hall here are instrumental. That's the first teacher of Sudhana. That's the last teacher of Sudhana. And what Samantabhadra tells him, the final answer to his question that he keeps asking over and over, are things that we do every day in the monastery. Every day, a full day of practice here begins with bowing, and it ends with dedicating merit. In between, there are 8 other steps that Samantabhadra teaches, and they're accessible to anybody. They're not secret. They're not magic. They're practices, Buddhist practices. Bowing, praising, offering, being generous, repenting, changing bad habits, etc. There are personal practices, social practices, and then universal practices. And this is the answer that he gets at the end. So these are the questions that a young 20-year-old man asks his teacher after traveling to find him. He's come to this place called Ocean Gate. It's right on the coast. It's near the ocean. It's a port city. And this teacher, we haven't got his answer yet, but the teacher talks all about the ocean. That's his Dharma. So interesting, huh? It's a real journey. It's a real pilgrimage. He's really out there going, putting in the miles. His feet are dusty. He's sweating. He's probably got sunscreen on or a hat. He doesn't know where he's going to eat tonight because he hasn't been there before. So he's probably got a backpack. He got his, a change of socks and things in his backpack. So real stuff. It's a real journey. And some people may say, why don't we know this? The answer is, do you read Chinese? Do you read Sanskrit? If you do, maybe you've read it before. If you read Korean, the Koreans read it in Chinese anyway. So if you haven't, then like me, I didn't even know the Avatamsaka existed until Master Hua, our teacher, spent 90 minutes of every night saying, I want you to know this stuff. This is really good. This is really, really good stuff. It's been in the Buddhist canon in China all these thousands of years, but nobody took it out and said, let's spread it. Let's let it go further. Master Hua did. He said, I want this to go further. And we came along, speaking English, wanting to know what it was, so we helped him translate. And now here we are in Berkeley, continuing that lineage, keeping it alive, so that we can read it and go, yeah, that's interesting. Do you have to leave home? How do we do it? How do we get born in the Buddhist family instead? Good question.
Master, sorry to interrupt you, but is this version available yet?
Once again?
And sorry to interrupt you, but is this version available
Okay.
The one that you're translating.
I didn't even ask you to take your mask off. I could still understand you. That's good. Mostly my ears are going bad, and so we had questions at the 42 Hands and Eyes, and I'm going, I didn't get it. Give him the mic. I still didn't get it. What did she say? You know. Luckily, I heard, I got it, but Jin Chuan was able to hear, and I'm going to get hearing aids when I go back to Australia. Good ones. So I don't have to go, what? So much. I knew that my hearing was going bad when Dharma Master Heng Chur said, have you had a hearing test? I said, why do you ask? You're saying what too much? What? So I'm going back to the Majuraba Hearing Center. Getting hearing aids are expensive. Did you know? Whoa. Many people my age, 75, need them. I did get the hearing test, and my high-pitched hearing is like that. So people were very generous with your offerings, knowing that I'm going back. I'm going to use your generosity for my hearing aids. So. Okay, let's do a few more here before we get into the 7 Tathagatas' names, what I promised to share with you. Okay, let's do this one. You ready? I'll give it to you. Give it back. Yun he neng du, sheng si hai, ru fo zhi hai. One more. Yun he neng li fan fu di, ru lai di. Okay, 2 of these. Right here, this one and the next one. Ready? How I can cross over the ocean of birth and death and enter the Buddha's wisdom ocean, or how I can leave the level of an ordinary person and enter the level of a thus come one. What does he want? He wants to be a Buddha. He wants to know what Buddhas know, and this is all new to him. He's fresh with this idea. He heard Manjushri speak, and the idea came to him, I can do it. I have the capacity for wisdom inside me, but I haven't explored it. I haven't booted it up. I've got this incredible software on my hard drive, but I don't know how to use it, so I need instruction. That's what he's saying. Cross over the ocean of birth and death. It's come to his awareness that people don't have to simply die. We don't have to only lie down when death comes. There is a way. That's what our Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, discovered, was that it can end. Suffering can end. And in the process, be as wise as the Buddha. Furthermore, I want to, before I die, while I'm still right here in my human body, learn what Buddhas know and function like a Buddha. That's what he wants. Okay, all of these other questions, we will leave that for next week, which will be done from the Gold Coast. But I hope folks will continue to tune in and find out what happens. Don't you want to know what Sudhana knows? Okay. Meanwhile, the things that we can know while we are in our bodies here are very helpful for other beings. For example, this thing called the 7 Tathagatas' names, the names of 7 Buddhas. There's one of the methods of practice is reciting Buddha's names. 7 Buddhas of the past left their names behind for us to recite, and I've been advocating that we pick this method up. Why? For example, if we say, I'll say it, you say it back, Namo Dobao Rulai. Namo Dobao Rulai. See the slash here? It's Rulai is Tathagata, but it means Buddha. Namo Buddha, many treasures. That's one. Why do we want to recite the name of Buddha, many treasures? Because we can see, 除了脱离三恶道，可以使艰难临起的人不再临起去. Okay, the benefits of reciting the name of the Buddha, many treasures, besides getting out of the hells, animals, and ghosts, by reciting this, people who are stingy, they leave their stinginess behind. They become open-hearted, generous. 去贫穷的果报, we also leave behind poverty. You recite the Buddha's name, the name of the Buddha, many treasures, Do Bao Rulai. It has this function. Abundance comes to us. 所以每次买东西去人家商店，就念南无多巴如来，希望他们可以发财。When you go to the store, the shop of somebody who's trying hard to make a living, if you recite the name of the Buddha, many treasures, they get rich. Their shop succeeds. Is that your brother-in-law? Is that you? Fasher, I've been thinking of going into business just because, I'd like to, a little more, I got to take care of my kids and my mom, People say that. Will my business, could you give me a name for my shop, Fasher? Because I need, Okay. 看到贫穷的人，帮他们多念多宝如来的名号，他们化解他们过去谈到这个头到艰难的因果，让他们有福报。故做生意的朋友可以多念。All right. When you see poor people, help them recite the name of many treasures to Tathagata and get rid of their karma of theft from the past that makes them poor now. So, all of you business people, recite it more, it says. Okay, practical, right? Practical advice. Okay, that's one of them. Namo Do Bao Rulai. Everybody? Namo Do Bao Rulai. Number 2, Namo Bao Sheng Rulai. Okay, the Buddha jewel victory, or valuable, precious victory. Tathagata, Rulai, or Buddha. Buddha jewel victory. Here we go. 放生的鱼或鸟，给他们报生如来的名号，他的旁边就有2个护法神一直保护他。旁生或是人在死之前听到报生如来的名号，永远不堕三恶道。大家走到市场或是殡仪馆等地方要念。So, if you recite the name of the Buddha jewel victory, Bao Sheng Rulai, animals that get released, fish or birds, this is a practice that Buddhists have where you buy animals that are on their way to slaughter. If you let them hear the name of the Buddha Bao Sheng, at either side of these animals, 2 Dharma protecting spirits appear to protect them. Animals or people who are at the verge of death, when they hear the name Bao Sheng Tathagata, they avoid falling into the hells, the ghosts, or the animals' realm. So it says, when you walk by a mortuary, recite this name, or a cemetery. Okay, everybody, Bao Sheng Rulai, Namo Bao Sheng Rulai. Here we go, Buddha jewel victory. What else? What's next? Namo Miao Si Shen Rulai. People from Manchuria say Shai, fine. Miao Shai Shen. Namo Miao Si Shen Rulai. What is it? It's the Buddha with a marvelously formed body. Beautiful body Buddha. The Buddha who looks really, really wonderful. Okay. When ghosts hear the name Namo Miao Si Shen Rulai, suddenly, quickly, let's see, Ma Shang, 外表会变得像天生一样好看，马上脱离轨道。谁要想长得漂亮和怀孕了 ？None of you do, right？ 没有你们都不算在内啊。一直念南无妙思身如来，身上都是漂亮的基因生出来的都会是漂亮的小孩。念一句圣号，让大家生生世世都漂亮。Okay, how about this? So, the reason why this practice is very interesting is because it goes way beyond just the human realm. It says ghosts who hear the name of the Buddha with the wonderfully formed body suddenly can grow an appearance, can change an appearance like spirits from the heavens. So it's still the realm of ghosts, but it's from ghosts to shen, to gods or spirits. They become as attractive as celestial spirits, and they can leave the path of ghosts. So anybody furthermore, anybody who wants to be attractive, and I said that's none of us, right? We never spend any time in the mirror, like combing, and like, yeah. So I don't do that. I never do that. So or anybody who is pregnant and wants your child to be an attractive baby, recite the name of wonderfully formed body Tathagata, and you plant the causes, the seeds of being wonderfully formed, attractive. Then when that child is born, they become a pretty baby, a happy baby. When you recite the name of this Buddha, you allow all those who hear to connect to that energy of wholesome appearance, attractive appearance. Interesting, right? This is very real results. So everybody, Namo Miao Si Shen Ru Lai. Yeah, Namo Buddha. I take refuge in the Buddha with a marvelously formed body. Next, Namo Guangbo Shen Ru Lai. Namo, I return to, I find safety with the Buddha with an extensive body, large, extensive, abundant body Buddha. Okay, check this one out. 念广播声如来，喉咙被打开，那些个轨道几千万，看喉咙被锁住，喝不到水，很痛苦。你一念就会喝得到，还可以马上升天，而且生生世世都在身体身材高大。你想生生世世身体高大，多念广播声如来的名号。Says our commentator, when you recite the name of the Buddha with an extensive body, your throat opens. Your throat opens. Why is that important? Who has heard of hungry ghosts? The reality of the path of hungry ghosts is so painful because they say they have stomachs like a bass drum, but a throat like a needle. So all they feel is hunger that's never satisfied. So if you can open the throat of ghosts by reciting the name of extensive body, those beings in the path of ghosts, their throats open. They can drink water, finally. They can get a cooling, refreshing drink. So because their throats are tight, they can't drink water, and they're in pain because of that. With that recitation, the water can pass their throat. And furthermore, with that ending of the karma, they can be reborn in the heavens. And they are born with a large body. So if you would like to be born with an extensive body, you recite the name Guangbo Shen Ru Lai. Okay, here it is. Namo Guangbo Shen Ru Lai, everybody. There we go. Buddha with an extensive body. Okay, 3 more. What about Namo Li Bu Wei Ru Lai? Namo Buddha beyond all fear. Fearless Buddha. Anybody have anxiety? Any? Namo Li Bu Wei Ru Lai. I like this one. Little fish, little birds, when they see us, they're afraid. I guarantee it is so. 帮他们念南无离不为如来，可以使他们内心不再恐惧，脱离畜生道。Okay, little fish, little birds, when they see us, are afraid. 帮他们念, if you want to help them recite Namo apart from fear to Tathagata fearless Buddha, so they are no longer afraid. They leave, and bit by bit, they leave the path of animals. Just a moment ago, I saw my picture with a python. I don't know if that's going to pop up in the order, but there we go. Not afraid, right? That's the grandson of Ali, who isn't afraid of humans anymore. Because every day I go out and I feed him, and I'm going, Namo Do Bao Ru Lai, Namo Bao Sheng Ru Lai, Namo Miao Si Shen Ru Lai, Namo Guang Bo Shen Ru Lai, Namo Li Bu Wei Ru Lai, Namo Gan Lu Wang Ru Lai, Namo Amito Ru Lai. Let's see here. Hold on. Is it worth it? I don't want to take too long here. But you can see the results. I see the results. And it's so, what do you say? It's heartwarming when animals take you for granted. They don't, clearly they're not afraid, you know? That's really wonderful. To be accepted by them. Let's see, I didn't plan it, so I don't know if I can find it. Let's see here. Let's take a minute. Oop. Is it the animals are afraid of the people, or the people are afraid of the animals? I don't know. So, spiders as big as your body. Let's see here. Bond class. Dingo. I'm not getting anywhere. I want to show you the results of animals that aren't afraid, but you can use your imagination, right? So when you recite the name of Li Bu Wei Ru Lai, animals lose their fear, which is not always good, because a lot of humans are afraid and react with fear, and you know, so, yeah. Okay, moving on here. Namo Ganlu Wang Ru Lai. Everybody, Namo Ganlu Wang Ru Lai. Namo Buddha Ambrosia. Sweet Dew Buddha. What's the deal with Sweet Dew Buddha? This is also quite wonderful. 你跟一只鱼说法，他听不懂。当你在说法前念南无甘露王如来，他所念的心经，你所念的心经、大悲咒等等，他都可以完全吸收。你的孩子在学校上课，下课前一分钟念南无甘露王如来，刚刚老师讲的都可以记住在脑子里面。What do you think? You believe it? So, Sweet Dew, Ambrosia, Buddha. When you speak to a fish, they certainly don't understand. There's no bridge of communication between animals and fish. If before you talk to the fish, you recite Namo Gan Lu Wang Ru Lai, then the Heart Sutra or the Great Compassion Mantra that you recite, the creatures, the animals, birds, fish, mammals, they can get it. They absorb it. It opens the vibration. The application of that is your children going to school, if before they go into the classroom, you recite Namo Ganlu Wang Rulai, the things they hear in the class will stay with them. It removes that barrier. So, classroom teachers, any classroom teachers here who might want their kids to, yeah, it's called Ganlu Wang Rulai. Namo Ganlu Wang Rulai. Oh yeah, we want our kids to get it, right? And the last one, these are really practical. I like the applications of these. Namo Amito Rulai. Oh, where have I heard that before? Amitabha. Oh, that's the one. So, the Buddha Amitabha, right. He is the seventh of the seven Buddhas of antiquity. Here we go. Nian Yishang, Nian Yiju for how? Recite the Buddha's name one time. 消灭80亿皆生死重罪，往生极乐世界. When you recite the Buddha's name, it wipes away 80 billion eons of offenses of birth and death, and you can be reborn in the Pure Land where suffering ends. It's a good thing to do. That's highly recommended. So, let's see here. Going to try 150. Okay. I want to get it all on one screen so we don't have to scroll. I guess that's good enough. Let's do it 3 times. Namo Do Bao Ru Lai, Namo Bao Shen Ru Lai, Namo Miao Si Shen Ru Lai, Namo Guang Bo Shen Ru Lai, Namo Li Bu Wei Ru Lai, Namo Gan Lu Wang Ru Lai, Namo Amito Ru Lai. We'll go back to the top. Namo Do Bao Ru Lai, Namo Bao Shen Ru Lai, Namo Miao Si Shen Ru Lai, Namo Guang Bo Shen Ru Lai, Namo Li Bu Wei Ru Lai, Namo Gan Lu Wang Ru Lai, Namo Amito Ru Lai. Throw the birdseed to the turkeys and keep reciting. Here we go. Namo Do Bao Ru Lai, Namo Bao Shen Ru Lai, Namo Miao Si Shen Ru Lai, Namo Guang Bo Shen Ru Lai, Namo Li Bu Wei Ru Lai, Namo Gan Lu Wang Ru Lai, Namo Amito Ru Lai. Yup. You got kitties and puppies, dogs and cats at home, recite for them. If you've got kids at home, recite for them. By golly, nothing to lose, and they just might really work. It might change things for them and you. And it also gives you something positive. You can feel like you're using the Dharma for a good cause. Give me a moment. Let's see if I can find. Scrolling. I want you to see the results of reciting a lot for wild animals so they can hear. I do it. I just go, keep reciting. Namo Do Bao Ru Lai, Namo Bao Shen Ru Lai, Namo Miao Si Shen Ru Lai, Namo Guang Bo Shen Ru Lai, Namo Li Bu Wei Ru Lai, Namo Gan Lu Wang Ru Lai, Namo Amito Ru Lai. And the king parrots land in my hands, and the kookaburras land on my lap, and the pythons, they're very mellow around me. Kangaroos, not so much. Kangaroos are cautious, and that's good. That's all right. People eat them in Australia, and they hit them with their cars, and so they're not all Buddhists, but no, it's there. If I get to the top and I don't find it, I'll quit. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Okay, here we go. Namo Do Ba Ru Lai, Namo Bao Sheng Ru Lai, Namo Miao Se Sheng Ru Lai, Namo Guang Bo Sheng Ru Lai. Like that. So, just for what it's worth. The critters in Australia are so spectacularly beautiful that it's really rewarding to spend time with them and to let them know that not all people are harmful. You know, not all people are out to get them. Here we go. A lot of us are. A lot of people are. A lot of people I wouldn't recommend that you get close to. But those who recite have a whole new relationship with another Dharma realm, right? Another, which is the realm of animals. Okay, here we go. Here's one more. This is a special relationship that I have with the Kookaburra family, which is what? Kookaburras, the fathers feed the children. The fathers take responsibility for the feeding once the kids can fly. So there's a Kookaburra named Ali who became a really good dad, and he had 2 babies, and he brought them to show me, brought them to show them off. And Ali would land on my lap, and I would feed him, but then he becomes a dad, and suddenly all this behavior comes out of this formerly independent bachelor bird, you know. Now he's a married bird, he's got children, and he becomes a dad. So what does he do? He brings the kids along, and then he lands in front of me, and I take a piece of veggie ham, and I wash the salt out of it, and I feed it to him, and he puts it in his beak, and he looks up at me, and he goes, and he doesn't eat it, he flies away, feeds it to a baby bird, turns around, comes back, next, more kids, right? Here we go. It's as if he's saying thank you, and then he flies out, and he put me in the food line. And as long as I keep the ham moving, he'll feed them to the kids. And then 3 years pass, the kids become the dads. They land in front of me, right? Passed on. So I become very useful in the neighborhood because I got the ham. Thank you. Away he goes. There are the babies out on the branch. And he's back for round 2. Namo Do Bao Ru Lai, Namo Bao Sheng Ru Lai. Okay, so try it. This is Dharma you can use, indeed. All right, to conclude, I would like to say how much I appreciate all of the incredible teamwork that went into the successful completion of all of the massive amounts of Dharma assemblies that just happened up at City of 10,000 Buddhas, starting with Buddha Root Farm, actually. I got to observe and participate in all of the hard work that everybody did. I got to observe it. I didn't do a lot of it, but I saw how hard people work in taking care of our neighbors, taking care of our Dharma friends. And it's very moving. And the spirit of generosity is truly how our teacher wants us to bring the Dharma to the West. The service with kindness to other beings is what will keep America together. I'm not doing politics, I promise I wouldn't. But just if you use the yardstick of selfishness, out to benefit yourself, versus service to all beings, it's pretty clear who to follow and who not to follow. So my answer is to say, they say, "Zhi en bao en," thank you, gratitude for the kindness, and a wish to repay it and keep it going. This is your part, the thank you to the universe part. Okay, you'll see when we get there. People ask me, what did you get from your meditation? Are you enlightened? Have you ended your frustration? The wise men and women who woke up, all those I review, say the highest state is a wish to repay, a heart of gratitude. Here we go, your part. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. May not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. How many years did I waste waiting for my prize, for my ship to finally come in, for my payoff to arrive? But joy comes not from getting, but from giving it all away. Sages say, once you see the Tao, you feel a wish to repay. Okay, scroll that page. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. I may not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. How about my teachers? I may not repay my teacher's kindness, but every day I try. The planet, I may not repay the planet's kindness, but every day I try. Parents, last one. I may not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. So, gratitude to all those who made it happen. It happened. And so far, knock on wood, no disasters. We made it through teamwork and generosity. So, okay, dedication of merit time, and see you next week online for sure. Please do tune in to find out what the Bhikshu is ready to teach Sudhana next, all right? Ongoing story. And it'll still be going when I'm back. I should be back in mid-December to continue. By that time, Sudhana will be a little further down the road, but he's still asking his question. So let's dedicate merit to our country. Wherever you would like to dedicate it. Yes, indeed. So from where we're sitting, I'm going to bow from the waist right here to the Buddha and to our teacher. I invite you to join with me if you care to. Okay, 3 bows. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That's going to do it for us for tonight. Amitofo. See you all next time.